Good morning, everyone. My name is Mr. E Chauke, and I am the primary lecturer for module code TMS3720. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you as a student of TMS3720. TMS3720 is a learning area didactic language teaching module. The aim of this module is to help you to improve your teaching of a home and additional language in the senior phase. The purpose of this module is to train you to become a competent language teacher in the senior phase. The outcomes for this module are aimed at equipping you with the knowledge, skills, and attitudes you need to present a home language or a first or second additional language in the senior phase according to an integrated approach, communicative approach, and a text-based approach. At the end of the year, you should be able to effectively plan, present, and assess teaching and learning activities for listening, reading, speaking, and writing, as well as for language structure and use. To be able to do this, you need to have a thorough knowledge and understanding of the curriculum and assessment policy statement for the senior phase. Please ensure that you read and understand sections 2 and 3 of the CAPS very well. It is your responsibility to download the CAPS document from the Department of Basic Education's website. Please download the senior phase CAPS in the language that you intend to teach. The CAPS is available in all 11 official languages. Assessment. You are expected to submit 2 assignments for this module. I advise you to submit both assignments. You will, however, gain admission to the examination if you complete and submit assignment number 1 on or before the due date. The duration of the examination paper is 2 hours, and the mark allocation is 100 marks. Year mark. The marks obtained for assignment number 1 and number 2 count 20% towards your final mark for this module. The examination counts 80% towards your final mark. In order to pass the examination, you need to obtain a minimum of 40% in the examination. In other words, if you have a year mark of 20%, but you obtain less than 40% in the examination, you will not pass the module. If you do not obtain 40% in the examination, your year mark will not be taken into consideration. In other words, if you obtain 38% in the examination, your final mark will be 38%, even though you had a year mark of 20%. Please note that year mark is not taken into consideration for supplementary examination. The examination period. This is a year module. which means that you will write the examination in October, November 2021. The examination session will provide the supplementary examination dates. During the year, you will receive information on the examination in general and the examination dates and times. How should Ladlan TMS3720 be taught? The module is extremely practical by nature. However, to teach it effectively, you should have a thorough knowledge of language teaching principles, which makes it essential to master the theory as well. Principle number 1, listening, reading, speaking, writing, reasoning must be integrated. This implies that different components such as composition, prose, poetry, and grammar should not be taught separately, as if it is an independent part of the language. Principle number 2, language teaching must be communicative. Language teaching makes use of real life situations that necessitates communication. Principle number 3, classroom situations are based on actual everyday situations. Classroom activities should therefore imitate real, true-to-life, and everyday communication situations. Principle number 4, language teaching is learner-centered. The learners should be continuously and actively involved in the lesson event. Principle number 5, differentiation. Because learners are unique, tasks that learners should be performed should be differentiated according to their developmental level. Principle number 6, use authentic resource material and technology. Use contemporary and up-to-date reading, listening, and viewing material when teaching the language. Principle number 7, there must be a progression from year to year. Don't give learners the same exercise or activity year after year. There must be a progression within specific grade, as well as from grade to the next. Principle number 8, cooperative language teaching. It's a must. Teachers must develop a large repertoire of teaching methods and techniques, since the same method is not suitable for all learners. Integrated approach, text-based and communicative approach, which I will discuss briefly later in this lesson, should be used to teach 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. By an integrated approach to language teaching, I mean that you should not single out an aspect of language, such as direct and indirect speech, and teach it in isolation. Remember that learners should use the language in the classroom to listen, speak, read, or view written language, and to write language. Taking speaking as an example, the teacher could integrate reading with speaking by, amongst others, doing activities such as debate, role play, dialogue, doing informal conversation, and allowing learners an opportunity to retell a story, discuss character, plot and setting, express opinions, and clarifying questions. The language structures and conversions should be taught in context as other language skills are taught and developed. The text or story should be used to cover the language items that the teacher intends to cover by creating activities related to the text to enable learners to use the items in context. Similarly, the writing text that the learners will write should include language items. You, as a teacher, should select some of the items that your learners have difficulty with and give them formal practice. These structures should be taught in context in an integrated manner, using different types of oral, visual, and written texts. To teach the 4 language skills effectively, authentic texts such as current newspaper or magazine articles, advertisements, pamphlets, stories, and radio programs should be used as basis for learning activities. Texts from a range of different genres and modes such as oral, written, or multimedia texts should be used and can be linked through themes. Let us now focus our attention to communicative approach to language teaching. The communicative approach is an approach to language teaching that emphasizes interaction as both the means and the ultimate goal of the study. In this approach, language learners learn and practice the target language by interacting with one another and the instructor. The approach provides learners with extensive opportunities to acquire the language skills that are necessary to perform certain required functions in society. The learner in this approach is given many opportunities to practice or speak the language by solving problems and interacting in social, practical situations. During this process, learners make mistakes as part of their learning, which may be corrected. But the main focus is on communicative competence. So when teaching the language, please regard language errors as part of the learning process. Remember that the focus is on communicating meaning effectively rather than on correctness. The text-based is a teaching approach that pays attention to formal aspects of language, but these are viewed in terms of the effects and studied or analyzed in isolation. The purpose of the text-based approach is to enable learners to become competent, confident, and critical readers, writers, viewers, and designers of texts. It involves reading, viewing, and analysis of texts to understand how they are produced and how they impact on their audiences. It also involves producing different kinds of texts for particular purposes and audiences. Learners need to understand meta-language to discuss texts. They need the words to describe different aspects of grammar, vocabulary, and style, and how these function in texts. Please read the CAPS document for more information on this approach. In conclusion, language teaching should be learner-centered. The following are characteristics of learner-centered classrooms: small group activities, cooperative learning in small groups, partner practice or pet activities, presentation by learners, activities where learners make visuals for practice sessions, activities where learners plan and direct games, activities where classroom becomes, for example, a working area or a departmental store, activities that promote communication, opportunities for learners to ask questions, give preferences and opinions. This brings me to the end of today's lesson. You're welcome to contact me should you encounter any problems with your studies or the assignments. You may phone me or make an appointment to visit me in my office. I am in the Department of Language Education, Arts and Culture, Nkwana Simon Radipere, previously known as AJH van der Walt Building, room 6116. My email address is chauke@unisa.ac.za and my telephone number is 012-429-4076. If you decide to visit me in person, please make an appointment beforehand. All the best with your studies.